Hello everybody, let me take my glasses off. It has been a hectic day and I've got a whole list of things I wanted to talk about. So I'll skip some of them and do them next week. Okay? I had said that I wanted to speak about Eric because during last week was his Liberation Day. And whenever we celebrated his birthday, on July 1st, he would say, no, that's not my real birthday. The day they liberated me, that was. So May 5th is. And the first May 5th that we really celebrated with friends, we did at the Fortune Society, because I think it's the Fortune Society that made Eric become who he became. Actually, before that, it was Sing Sing, because he began to counsel in the prison system. And he was so successful because he had so much rage in him at that time. And the prisoners felt it somehow by instinct that he carried this in him, because he always could know when people had anger and rage. And he knew how to work with it. And my son Kenny had spoken on Facebook on the 5th of May. So I won't repeat what he said because it was wonderful. And I don't need to. Let me just say that I also learned during working in the prison system that people don't speak and they hurt, and unless you have the right language to let them speak, you can't help. And everybody carries wounds, and very few people have the ability to find somebody to whom they can speak. Priests, rabbis, etc., and I'm sure that in the Muslim religion there also are people, but it's not the same as a volunteer coming to you. And you know how we did ours? At least I did mine. You end up doing it on your own. When I sit with the prisoner, because Joni mentioned that Eric and I had been doing this for 50 years. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm not that old. But I am. I am, because it began when I called the Red Cross and I said that I wanted to work with children. I wanted to teach drawing to children who were not able to afford lessons. And the woman who answered the phone, her name was Mrs. Estabrook. It's so easy to remember because the expensive pens at that time were called Estabrook pens. So you know how far back I go. But she said, we don't work with children at all, but a judge's wife, Mrs. Liff, was able to get volunteers to come and work with the women in the Nassau County Jail, because the only thing they can do if they have good behavior is they're allowed to work in the kitchen. Otherwise, 24 hours, they sit alone in a cell. And I did. I began. And it changed me. And when the world changed, at the beginning, the only women who were imprisoned in the Nassau County Jail, if I'm wrong, I didn't meet the others, but they were They were never white. They were never well-to-do. The well-to-do could afford a lawyer. But they were poor and definitely not white. And then after about 5 years, it changed, and they were white. And they were young people where there had been enough money. Not all of them, but they were on drug charges. And I couldn't work with them because I found out that if you are addicted on drugs, you can't face failure. You can't pick yourself up and say, let me try again. I'm speaking of so many years ago. Maybe now it's different. But in those days, I ended up calling the Red Cross and saying, I'm sorry, I have to stop. Because I can't teach art to people who can't make mistakes and then fix them. So I'm going to have to quit because I'm wasting my time. And she said, do me a favor, don't quit yet, but go. And then she gave me an address. It was, I believe, a temple, non-denominational, right?
Yeah, that's like any religion. It's
right. And I went there, and I listened to somebody named Mickey Burglass. And Mickey Burglass had started teaching people in the prison system. And I fell in love with what he was doing. First of all, those are the days when all women dressed correctly. I would not have worn jeans. Mm-hmm. And men did not wear ponytails. And this man had a bush of hair. And he opened his ponytail, and there was this bush of tail over here. And a white man, an afro, and old dungarees. And his shirt was not starched. And I had never seen anybody speaking publicly dressed like that. And he began to speak. And I went home that day. And I said, Eric, they're doing another one. You have to go. And it has to be Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. He said, I can't. Friday's the busiest day at work. And my daughter, who was sitting there, said, you have to go, because then Mom won't go if you don't go. And then I can't go, and I've got to go. By the way, Joni is the executive director now of the Fortune Society. And she's incredible, because she began to do volunteer work after that session. So, let me just tell you a little bit more about that, how I teach. I sit down with the person and I say, here is a paper. I'm going to ask questions. And then when we're done with this session, you get the paper. Nobody will ever see it except you. And here's what I did. I said, give me a list of all the people in your life who matter. Not just people, but the ones who matter. And the second column is going to be how you feel about them. The third column will be how they feel about you. And the last column will be how can you get from life what you want. Okay? Well, the first was easy. Who is important in your life? And they gave all the correct ones, what they thought were correct. Mother, father, sister, brother, etc. Teacher. But when it came to how you feel about them, they started judging them. And I said, no, no judging. Feelings, only feelings. And I found out people in prison have a very difficult time speaking about feelings. They can judge. But when it came to the third column, how do they feel about you?
Mm-hmm.
They had no idea. That feelings were so foreign. And when it came to the last one, what they wanted to be were always unaffordable. Psychiatrists, etc., doctors. How much schooling did you do? I dropped out of high school. And it was a world I will never leave. Only during the pandemic I cannot. For we began at Sing Sing. And one of the people I worked with said to me, "Did Eric do time?" Because Eric was counseling there first, before the Fortune Society. And I said, "Why are you asking?" And he said, "Because something about the way he talks, I can tell anybody who's been in prison. And he's got a German accent, so I figured, and I know you're Jewish, I figured it had to be concentration camp. Did he do concentration camp?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I've got to talk to him. I have to know how he got rid of the hate." And we used to end the session, all of us who were volunteers. We have nuns and every religion was there. And we used to eat split pea soup in the diner, the best split pea soup, except for my daughter Joanne. She cooks split pea soup, which is beyond words. And I hope she's listening and cooks some more. But what happened, I said, "Eric, could you switch the person you're talking with next Monday?" It was always Monday nights. Maybe that's why I do Facebook on Monday nights. Could be, couldn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And I said, "Eric, would you?" And he said, "I don't know what he's talking about. I don't hate anybody. I don't have any hate in me. But I'll do it." So the next Monday night, everybody said, "Eric, what happened?" And he said, "I learned that I still have hate in me." He said, "I didn't know it was lying underneath. I didn't help him. He liberated me. I thought I got rid of the hate. He made me realize I still have work to do." So I finished my talk about prison right now, okay? Let me go to other things. Let me go to the painting.
Should I read some comments?
I'd love it.
Okay. So Jose is watching. Hernan, Eileen, Carol, Ed, hold on, Ken, Amy. Amy, Hedy looks extra pretty in red.
Thank you. I've been painting all day, and I figured you'll forgive me for that.
No, they like it.
Yeah, but I didn't change.
Mill gray.
I'm wearing my painting clothes.
Johnny Santana. Hi, Hedy. Hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day. Love, Johnny.
Thank you, Johnny.
Eddie was having issues, but he was on. Okay. Another one, Catherine Olson. Hello, Hedy dear. How wonderful to see you, and you look beautiful in red. You got two reds. People like the red.
So do I.
Kent says hi, Hedy. Ken says she does. I guess I'm not sure what that was about. Prison.
Kent is coming here in September.
Oh, okay. And John Caracuso.
Yes.
Hugs from California. My mom. Hi, Hedy. Just got in. You look wonderful. Kenny agrees with you in red. And Hernan, much love from Hernan and Christopher. You're getting lots of comments about your red. Everybody likes it. You have to wear red again.
Yes, I will. And I have a lot of red.
Good.
Okay. Then let me talk about the painting. Because the painting, to be doing a place like the Gracie Mansion, which incidentally is where very close friends of mine, Julie, Mark, and Charlie live. And it was so very different from the Lower East Side, from Manhattan, from the Stock Exchange, from that world. It was so beautiful. And yet the only thing that I remember...
Sure.
Yes. Thank you, Greg. Okay, this in a sense is why I do what I do. Okay, I love doing the commission. Gracie Mansion had a friendly and comfortable appearance, and so did the people who worked there. But it was its small park which I loved the most. In the midst of a huge city, it was a peaceful oasis. Most of the people who visited the park were parents with children and people who worked or lived nearby. There were those who looked well-to-do and those who looked homeless. Yet when I remember this time, one memory only is the clearest. It was very early and the park was nearly empty. I saw a homeless woman in the women's restroom. She was standing on plastic sheets and washing her feet in the sink. She was tall and thin and quiet, and she turned her face away from me. Later I saw her walking in the park. The plastic sheets were wrapped around her feet in place of stockings. She had no socks. And I realized that her shoes were summer sandals. I have used her image in my artwork since. That's the only memory that stayed with me. And the only people I painted on that lawn were very dear friends of mine. Bob Goler was the employee, the
groundskeeper?
What's the word for everything? Of a museum.
Curator?
Whatever it was, he was the head of the Visitors Museum at Francis Tavern Museum, where I was painting all the time. And I put his family in because I didn't want to put the homeless woman into that painting. She was in the restroom washing her feet.
Right.
But their family is in there.
You know which ones?
The Goller family. Okay. Here, I've got it written down. He was the curator of decorative and industrial... Oh, now he is. He's a curator of decorative and industrial arts in Chicago Historical Society. Robert Goller. Okay. Who did I meet there? I met the Gardners, Laura Jacobus, and Kathy McCall, who also paints. I write names down because there are so many people who are nameless in the world.
Yes.
But I will not write the names of the homeless. Look what I brought. This is... Can you show this, Greg? Now, all the mayors live there.
Amy's asking, is it Goller? G-O-L-E-R.
I'll tell you right away.
Spell the surname, please. I own the Francis Tavern. Amy Lauren?
He was the curator there. Robert Goller, G-O-L-E-R.
Yes, G-O-L-E-R, yes.
And he was wonderful. And this is where the mayors live now.
Yes, the mayor.
They,
Gracie Mansion.
my Koch. I received a card from them. Laura, Robert, and Sarah Polo Goller are pleased to announce the birth of Miriam Grace Goller. That was 7 pounds, 10.5 ounces, 8 of August, 1987, New York City. I think what I miss so much is that in the old days, I used to be able to give my number and name to strangers, and they gave me theirs. But the world changed,
Yes.
and I can't do that anymore. Okay, now let me go to the list of many things. I promised Kenny I would paint today. Okay, so let me just show you this. If I turn this, you can see the painting.
That's okay, I got it.
Can you see? I won't need this, right? I think if you go there, it's easier to maneuver. But this is my neighbor who moved all the things to make it possible for me to do this, to move into this room, which is going to be my studio. And I promised Kenny I would paint today, but there's not much time for painting, is there?
We have about 5 minutes.
Over 5 minutes. And I have so many things I still wanted to talk about.
Yes, we have 5 minutes.
Okay. I'm wearing my glasses, so that part is good. Okay, what I am having to learn is patience. I prepared everything for tonight, and then I started to talk about something else and forgot something else.
Kenny says don't worry about painting today.
Thank you. Okay, even though I'm ready.
Yes.
Okay, but this gentleman helped me, he's a neighbor, to move things so I could have this room for painting. And this gentleman here took me to get that huge mat that I have on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And by next week, I will be able, tomorrow I'm going to really paint again. Okay, I want to talk about patience. In that wonderful book, Cosmic Queries, it said that every species was given certain gifts. And one of the gifts that we got is to tell, for us to have the brain we have, but it doesn't contain a space to understand time. Mine doesn't. And it takes such a short time to grow a fingernail or to grow a hair. But it takes so many years to grow a tree. Mm-hmm. And I have to learn that in the space I have, if I do not first decide how much I will give to each bit, I fail. Mm-hmm. And today I failed so much because there's something that happened that I think is a scam. And when I saw, I called the bank, who I've always dealt with, but the paper which said the scam, which I believe is a scam, I'll know about it next week. I thought, I have to become self-sufficient. I'm going to call the bank. But the paper which said that a check bounced, a check which I never wrote, I thought, I'm going to learn. And I called the bank, but there was no phone number on that paper. So next week I'll know everything. I took my bank statement and called that number, but I told them what it was, but there is no number except theirs, which is a legitimate number which I've always used. And I decided they were going to give me another number, and it was a foreign country. And I have had so many scams because I'm a senior. I had gotten 3 which never came again, of somebody supposedly my grandchild. Mm-hmm. And when the 3rd call came saying exactly the same thing with a few weeks in between, I said, you'd better get another profession. You're not good at this because you're quoting what somebody else said, but they won't give me a name. They just say, don't you know me? I'm your grandchild and I need the money badly because my friend was driving and crashed, and now I'm with the police. And again I said, you need another job. You're not good at this one.
That was good. I think we're out of time.
Is it time?
Yes, but let me read.
Okay. And I love you all. And next week I will be, if possible, let me know how you deal with your time.
Just let me quickly read the comments here.
Yes.
Amy said, Eileen, I was referring to Hedy's painting, of course, not the actual building. Amy owns your Francis Tavern painting, not the actual building. Wow, look at your, from Eileen, wow, look at your painting. So much has been added. Beautiful. Ken said, don't worry about painting. Carol Hotkin, your painting looks wonderful. Paula, Hedy, happy Mother's Day. I love this painting. Eileen Cutler, hopefully you get this straightened out with the bank. Good for you, taking it on. Bad karma for those trying to take advantage of seniors. Amy said, smart Hedy. And Tracy, we love you too.
Thank you. I love all of you so.
Tracy and Tammy.
I'm going to be so organized for next week.
You did well. Okay.
Bye-bye.